we're back.
Yo.
Bad Dudes Gaming.
Yeah.
This is Gerald.
I'm Brian.
And we have Clarissa here with us to teach us.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Will you free us from this creature?
Yeah,
Be assured we will destroy it. We will do our... These are not...
Yes or yes?
Yeah.
Yes or maybe.
Yeah. I want the option of no. Just deal with it. That is Deedlit. That is totally Deedlit on the right there.
Deedlit.
Well, you know, that was basically that dude writing his D&D campaign.
Yeah,
so...
that is the... Isn't that like the biggest nerd dream ever, is to have your D&D campaign turned into an animated series?
Yeah.
I wish our Pokemon tabletop game was turned into an animal.
Like, he's basically, you're agreed with an eerie silence, the stench of something.
I don't remember if that was the case with Slayers as well, but...
Slayers feels like it.
Yeah.
Slayers feels like some joke asshole being a D&D DM and being like, your breasts are tiny, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. No.
Do you know that when Slayers was released, they had a big problem? Because the franchise, Slayers franchise, this is the anime I'm talking about, by the way. For those who don't know, because anyone listening to this, Slayers is this old person anime franchise.
Oh. Is it old?
It is so old. It's 20 years old.
Oh, Jesus. I feel old.
But Slayers was intended for young kids.
Dragon! That was totally Godzilla noise.
Yeah, it was. But Slayers was intended for a young audience. And they didn't want to advertise it as that in America. They wanted it to be for teenagers. And so when the creator did some interviews, he would say, like, yeah, I did this for, under, like, 14, 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they wanted to take that out of the interviews, because it made it seem like this is a little kid's thing.
Right.
Because, anime is not kid stuff.
Not kid stuff.
Yeah. Adult cartoon.
To be fair, in most American children's cartoons, there aren't jokes about how small the girl's breasts are.
That's true.
I don't think that was ever in G.I. Joe. Where they were joking about
because all those girls were stacked.
Or I don't think Tila in the Thundercats ever was like, my breasts are too small.
Yep. I can't
Tila, your breasts are small.
Can't deal with life.
That's because American, comic book artists don't actually know how to draw a woman that doesn't have huge breasts.
Thank God.
Yeah. What? Oops.
What? Oops.
Oh.
Did you poop yourself?
No.
Is that how you announce it?
Not this time. Not this time. The adventure continues.
Demi-human raids have increased, becoming not only more powerful. Oh,
Only.
This is obviously a guiding hand behind all of this. They couldn't get the spelling right, really?
No.
Didn't anyone read it?
Nope.
Someone is causing these monsters to fight together rather than against each other. That is an awkward sentence. Find this puppet master and cut the strings. Oh, puppet master.
Strings on me.
Corin's suggestions, you come to the town with Coruglain, where monster attacks have increased greatly.
That guy looks like he's in trouble.
Lord Linton told me you were coming. There are 3 areas where the monsters frequently appear.
Alright.
We'll make you a deal here.
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Which should we investigate? A series of limestone caverns, abandoned mine on the outskirts of town, or an old well? An old well would seem like a pretty small thing to investigate. What do you think? Okay, we don't have much... We can't think about this for very long.
Yeah.
Everyone's silent. Yeah, I'll buy it. There we go.
This is one of them games where you can actually play for a decent amount of time without having to continue to if you're good enough.
You follow the path through the abandoned watercourse, the foul air assaults your noses. I hope we meet the Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
So, I don't know, I mean, again, I don't know much about D&D. Was there ever, an overarching story to it, or an overarching villain that you're supposed to kill?
No, not really. There's, a setting.
That's just really a setting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they have things like, the races and the gods and goddesses that the different races worship, and, and things like that, but there's not like...
There's not
again,
like a major villain in it that you're out to kill or anything.
Not really. I mean, like I said, you can buy, you could buy those like existing adventures, but usually those were pretty short-lived things, not like major.
Let's go in here.
Yeah, go in there.
While you're on fire. Stop being busy and being on fire. Oh god. There's arrows everywhere. It's the worst idea ever.
Oh my god, this is terrible. I wasn't sure if any of the D&D settings had like, because didn't like Shadowrun have like some like large corporation you're trying to take down or something, or am I imagining this?
I haven't played Shadowrun.
Maybe I'm thinking of the game or something.
Yeah, I don't remember in the tabletop version.
What about the Super Nintendo version?
Because that's the one that I played. I played the Super Nintendo version, and I have Shadowrun Returns, a new one that got kickstarted for got like $8 million in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish that up.
And then I hear the expansion to it is actually pretty good as well. It's interesting to play it because it is very much a game like you would never see again today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like click and read text sort of stuff.
I like.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm glad that it got kickstarted very successfully. Speaking of which, that Bloodstained,
yep.
which is what it's, as we record this, is it about $7 million? $6 million?
Oh, is that the EGA?
2.3.
Yeah, EGA. Which
yeah, I haven't backed it because I mean it's
it doesn't need any help,
but I do kind of want to check it out when it comes out.
Also, I don't like backing something that is 2 years away.
Yeah,
and there is
March of 2017.
2017, and there is no footage. There is no game footage of it.
It's concept art.
It's just concept art. Like, throw something together for me. You don't even have to do a lot. Just give me. I mean, I know it's probably I
kind of wish it had more.
They spent so much money on that video for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
They could have spent a little bit more time on putting together some game footage.
I mean, really, I pretty much just want to see Castlevania. So.
And I'm sure that that's what he's going for. I mean, Iga, all of his games are kind of work the same way, and they're great. It's funny because when he did it, they were like, "Well, we'll let you do this one Castlevania game," and he did Symphony of the Night, and they were like, "Okay, you can just do them all."
Yeah, go ahead and keep doing these, please. Thanks.
And I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be only the second, like, full console Castlevania style game he's done, because all the rest were mobile.
Yeah.
Not mobile, but portable, I should say. Because they all came out for like the 3DS or the DS.
Yeah, like Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. And I want to play another one of those on like my regular television again.
Yeah. Those are all so good.
The Knoll.
Well, most of them are good.
Yeah. I mean, everyone I played was pretty good. They needed more musical endings, like I Am the Wind. Brian, sing it with me.
No.
I am the wind. I've always been.
No.
Drifting high.
No.
Brian,
Stop it.
Clarissa, join me. Too thick and thin. She's just looking at me like I'm insane for some reason.
Yep. I like it. You can cut the arrows out of the air.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as like storyline, the thing with tabletop RPGs is that the point is they're pretty open, and so usually what you'll have is you'll have a setting, and there's maybe some sort of like overarching point in that. Okay, yeah, there's like certain like major bad guys
really
or like evil gods and stuff like that, but it's usually like sometimes it's even like I said, it's like evil gods or something. It's not like you can really defeat the bad guy. It's just like an ongoing thing.
Okay, so
because it's meant to be like you can play like these short storylines and then you can keep going
So, is it, Vampire the Masquerade? That is another, like, tabletop... Because that's another thing that I've played the game of.
Yes.
But that is another separate tabletop thing, right?
Yes. And there's a whole... Well, White Wolf, that's a whole, like, thing, because they had Vampire, but they expanded and kept, like, adding more, so then there's, like, all kinds of ones, because they have Werewolf and Changeling
and are these
Wraith
are these different settings?
No, they're all the same. The setting is World of Darkness, so they're all the same setting.
And this is like a competitor to Dungeons and Dragons?
Sort of. I mean, they're
different.
I mean, they kind of are, I guess, in the sense that they're both like tabletop RPGs, but they're different styles of settings and everything. So usually people either would be interested in one but not the other, or might play both.
Okay.
And actually now, I'm trying to remember the current status because like a bunch of the companies that made some of these tabletop RPGs, like companies have gone out of business and things have gotten bought out and shuffled around. So,
because I really liked the Vampire the Masquerade game,
I don't know at this point if I think they are still separate companies.
Okay, that was White Wolf, and so TSR owns, or does own at this.
I don't know if TSR's around anymore.
Yeah, because
I think it's Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast now just owns everything.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like how Disney owns everything.
Yeah. It's either Wizards of the Coast or Disney.
It's kind of sad because there's a lot of like good tabletop games that RPGs that are just
gone
because those companies don't exist anymore,
and there's just no interest or not enough people to bring it back, or so you have to buy these
who even knows at this point who owns the rights?
Like I guess some of them you just have to buy like really old books or manuals or whatever.
Yeah,
for
a
it.
lot of people have done fan stuff off of it too.
Huh. Because I remember
try and find the copies of the out of print stuff, like
Because I was always upset. I didn't know anyone who did this stuff when I was young, but they did they had like a Bubblegum Crisis role playing, an official role playing thing, and a Tenchi Muyo official role playing thing.
Yeah, they used to make a bunch of those. They had like a Sailor Moon thing.
Yep.
And I still to this day wasn't sure if any of those were any good. I assume they weren't. But it would have been neat as a kid, as a young anime fan, to play a Bubblegum Crisis. Thing.
Some of those licensed ones were kind of crappy because it's like they just sort of throw stuff together. It was a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier when you have things where, say things like D20, or GURPS, where they have like a general rule system, and then they can license things, and then they all use the same rule system.
So this is, if we put it into computer terms, that's almost like buying using the Unity engine or something.
Kind of, yeah.
To kind of give it a structure.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of build your game around that.
Yeah. Woo, yeah, it's the same game mechanics basically. Or
any courage, then face me now.
I mean that's a pretty good analogy. It's even more structural, I'd say, than that, because you can use the same Unreal or Unity game engine to make a lot of really different types of games. But
okay, yeah, I wasn't sure how flexible that GURPS is. Whoa, how do you hit me?
GURPS is made to be super flexible.
Okay. So
GURPS stands for Generic Universal Role Playing System, and so the idea was it's this one rule system, and then they would publish tons and tons of different, specific manuals, and they would have licensed stuff, so, you could buy, the core rule book, and then from there you would buy, these little expansion guides for specifically what you wanted to play.
Okay.
So if you wanted to play, a fantasy-type game, you could buy, specifically the GURPS Fantasy books. Mm-hmm. And then that would give you more, specific fantasy stuff to bolt on to the general rule system.
So that would just be...
Or if you wanted to play, a modern-day campaign, you'd buy, there would be books with like stats for present day weapons and vehicles.
So if you wanted to set in the modern day, they'd have like this is what you do if you wanted to have like guns in it.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so you can buy books for them.
Yeah, they have them too for like Silver Age of Sentinels, which is kind of like the universal like.
Silver Age of Sentinels.
Yeah, it's just like what a lot of people use for like doing superhero tabletop games.
Okay.
Because it has like a bunch of fucking superpowers in it that they kind of like.
I don't think I've ever played that one.
Nah,
I played like Champions and.
Yeah.
I'll destroy you for the enjoyment of my master.
Villains and Vigilantes, but those are old. I don't even know if those are still in print anymore. I don't think so.
Uh-oh. Whoa! Alright. We've driven out the fire out. Or, no, it's a shadow.
We're going to continue in next time?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, driven off the Shadow Elf. So next time, guys.
See ya!
See ya!